America is an irradiated wasteland, set to doom by a nuclear holocaust. In it lies a city, walled off from the outside radioactive chaos. In this city lies 800 million inhabitants, all living in the remnants of the old world. 17,000 serious crimes are reported in this city on a daily basis. It is known as Mega City 1. Hidden in the chaos, there is one point of order. It's called the Hall of Justice. And these don't carry regular police officers. You need something more than that to take care of a city this bent. They're the soldiers of the law that are given the burden of being both jury and executioner. They are known as judges. And there's only one of them that is truly incorruptible. This is Dredd 2011. Dredd 2011 might be one of the most underrated sci-fi action films of all time. With the coldest anti-hero that doesn't really get the recognition it deserves. And a lot of my audience wanted me to touch on this because they agree with me. The shill psyop critics that tried to put this movie down. And even then they couldn't, because it's developed a cult following and it was pretty well received when it came out even. Maybe it just didn't do that high and mighty at the box office. But listen, if you're a critic who thinks this movie is garbage, if you think this movie is nothing, mindless action, which we're gonna get to, you're wrong, and I'm gonna tell you why you're wrong. If you come at this movie, you come at me. In return, I'm coming at you. That did not sound the way I intended it. This is really the only character that truly reminds me of what would happen if Batman killed. Okay? No, not Punisher. Alright? Not Ben Affleck's Batman in BVS. No. I truly think that this is what would happen if Batman started killing. Alright? Because Dredd doesn't just start mowing people down with machine guns. He kills you in the most lawful way possible. If you simply break the codified laws, to which there are many, you're gone. Alright? You take out an innocent while running away from a judge. You try to kill a judge. You do any of the crimes that would normally serve you a death sentence. Okay? This is as fair as it gets in a city this bent and corrupt, guys. And this guy's personality, he simply is Batman. Every time I see him, when I first saw this film, I'm like, this guy reminds me of Batman. Okay? Now, look guys, I want to be very, very honest here. I'm not a fan of the Judge comics, the Judge Dredd comics. I watched the movie with Sylvester Stallone long time ago. I don't remember liking it that much. I didn't even care for it. I'm coming at this almost blind to this guy's character and lore. I'm going off of this movie alone. Why? I'm a cinema vigilante, not a comic book vigilante, none of that other stuff. This movie, to me, is cinema. All right? I think this film inspired The Raid. I could be wrong on that, but I'm pretty sure this was made before The Raid. Raid was 2013, this was like 2011 or 2012. Okay? Two warriors going up a building, fighting their way up in an action movie. Now The Raid is completely different. That is all action. It has some of the best choreography you'll ever see in a movie. This Dredd movie is mostly shootouts, okay? But they're very different movies despite having a similar plot. One, all action. That's the point of the film. The other, you could say it's mostly an action movie, but the world building is what separates this. The critics passed this off as a mindless action movie. I was looking at Rotten Tomatoes, and a couple critics that gave it favorable reviews were like, yes, it's mindless action, but this is the best mindless action you'll ever see, which I agree. But then some are likening it to other mindless action movies. Like, this ain't Fast and Furious 10 or 9 or 8, guys. Okay? There is a level of depth to this movie that goes unrecognized. And part of it comes from the world building, the lore, the subtleties of the character. This is, at the end of the day, it is a simple plot. An evil, vindictive, psychopathic gang leader shuts down an entire building, a mega building, with 2 judges inside it, and everyone's gunning for them. Alright? That simple plot, isolated premise, but that is why it works so well in a world this bent. A lot of films, when they have a character, a main character, they address him, they go into his origin, his backstory. He has exposition, or he talks about his feelings and what's going on through his head, and you know, he has conflicts with other people, you know. Those are the various common cliche ways to build a character. And this, you don't get a lot of that with your main protagonist, Dredd. He doesn't really talk that much. He has great dialogue, but he doesn't really talk that much. You don't know a lot about him, the man behind the mask, but you don't need to. This is one of those movies that tells you who the character is by his actions. Okay? And that's what I love about it. Not to mention, this character is one cold, badass dude. As for you, mama, judgment time. Can't do the voices better as good as him, okay? But Karl Urban in this role, I like him more than Sylvester Stallone as Dredd. I'm just gonna, is that sacrilegious to say? I don't even think so. Who would disagree? This is my favorite role of Karl Urban's besides Butcher in Boys and Vako in Riddick. I also like him in Star Trek, but I like him in everything. But this is the definitive Karl Urban role. I wish he could come back. I wish there was a sequel. I know they were planning a trilogy, but it never happened because it bombed or whatever in the box office and the studios prioritized other films. But look, this is it. This is Karl Urban's Batman role. You know what I love about this film as well? You know, in this day and age, we're all worried about, oh, there's a female protagonist. Will she overshadow the male protagonist? Will they make her this annoying feminist crazy person? Oh, will it go woke, all this crap that we just hate nowadays? Dredd proves that that doesn't need to be the case. You can have a badass female lead alongside a male lead and not have her be annoying and try to overshadow the other guy, all right? The female in this, the judge in training, the rookie, she and Dredd have an amazing dynamic, okay? It is like a Batman and Robin type thing where he's training her, he's taking her through the ropes, and she can fail this test. This is like a police academy test, right? If she does certain things, she's gonna fail. And there's 70 million ways for her to fail this test. So right from the get-go, you were invested in her getting through this because of how difficult it could be. And you imagine yourself in this position. We would all fail this test within seconds, all right? This female Dredd, not only is she resilient, but she's a mutant as well. And that's another thing. There's an expansive lore to this film that I don't even know. This probably expands so wide. The irradiated wasteland caused a lot of people to either grow multiple limbs or give them some powers. In her case, she's got all this weird mind powers, telepathy, telekinesis, whatever the fuck. She can go into people's minds and tell if they're guilty or not, they're lying, what's in their thoughts, all that kind of shit. And yes, at some point you're like, okay, this does make her OP, but she has a great arc. She's very nervous, inexperienced in the beginning. She can't even shoot a person properly. And then towards the end, she just has stopped giving a fuck because of all the shit she has to go through. Okay? It's a great arc, and you love to see Dredd just test her every second. He's always testing her to see. He's always asking her, what do we do next? What do we do next? Where's your gun? Where's your sidearm? You know, he's always testing her, putting her on edge. And it's great to see. She adds to his character because you get to see what he's like when he has someone underneath him that he's responsible for, right? He's not a lone wolf in this because that would make his job easier. Now he's got to freaking look after this chick who doesn't even know what she's doing half the time, right? And it's awesome. She's not annoying at all. Also, she's hot as fuck. Now, I'm not the only one who agrees. This dude agrees. He fantasizes about her throughout this movie, which the funniest part about it is she actually does fail the test on a technical level. But she doesn't care at one point. She's like, I'm just going to dispense justice. And even Dredd's like, all right, I'm impressed. And usually in most movies, that would be cringe. When the chick takes a stand and starts fighting back. That's when most modern movies fail because they make her more badass in the male and it gets cringe because of how forced she is on us. But not with this. With this, you love it. It's awesome. And for the people who say, mindless action, my ass, there's no substance. Her character has a whole ass arc where she has killed the husband of one of the residents of this mega block who helps her. And she just realizes it. And she's realizing the toll that this job is taking on her. Mindless action, my ass. And the one thing that separates it from being a mindless action is the world building. The world building, you have a little narration in the beginning by Karl Urban. And then you see the mega structures, mega highways, mega blocks. Everything has been condensed in the city because it's walled off from the outside. So you need these structures to carry all these people. The mega blocks and the multiple gangs that reside within it, and how these gangs have infiltrated mega blocks. Instead of being out on the streets, they've infiltrated buildings where they all have their levels, their territory which they operate. Okay? The weapons that the judges use, these guns, incendiary, rapid fire, armor piercing. He just tells the gun what to do and it does it, and he shoots incendiary and poof, it kills multiple people at the same time. It's awesome. All right? All this intricate stuff, the mutants, the buildings, All of it adds to the lore, especially when you have multiple judges in this film that end up being corrupt. You see how easily even the Hall of Justice can be corrupted by money or scaving off territory. And we're going to get to the actual villain of this movie later. One of my favorite villains in any movie, by the way. We also have the drug slow-mo. People ingest it and time slows down. The perception of time slows down completely. And when we see this happen in the movies, we see what it's like from a slow-mo addict's perspective. It's the most beautiful shit ever. The music, the aura, the effects. I love it. Every time usually I hate slow-mo that's overused or any kind of hallucination. I hate the overuse of that in movies, but in this, they do it so well. It's art when it comes on screen, okay? And we gotta get to the dealer of slow-mo in the city, this new drug, Mama. A former prostitute who neutered her pimp. He slapped her around, so he forced her to give him fellatio, so she freaking took his nuts off. Now she's scarred up her face because of him. She looks like she looks like a crackhead war prisoner in this movie. Lena Headey. Game of Thrones chick. Beautiful woman, not so much in this film. She's as ruthless as it gets. She skins people alive who come on her territory and throws them off the top of the mega building floors and hits them with slow-mo so that their descent into death is as slow as it comes. They have to just deal with looking at their own downfall as it happens. It is the most brutal shit ever. And she doesn't give a fuck. You don't get to know much. There's not much depth to her in terms of, oh, this is her motivation, her origin. She's just a drug dealer who wants to take over the city, right? As cliche a motivation as you'll see from a drug dealing kingpin. But it's the way that she's performed, the way she's played. She's smart, vindictive, she doesn't give a shit. She's the perfect foil to Judge Dredd. Because she's the opposite of everything he is. The action, it's not innovative or John Wick level shit, right? It's none of that, all right? You've seen, no action or fight scene in this movie will surprise you. Again, it's the world around this that makes all the action hit harder, okay? And it's Judge Dredd's ultimate badassery, his one-liners. When him and the judges all start fighting each other, when he fights the corrupt judges, we get to see some of the hand-to-hand fighting skills he has. This guy's a bad motherfucker. He caves in a dude's throat with his gun. He blows up a dude to bits with his incendiary. There's one kind of dumb scene where he says, wait. He gets shot by a dude with an armor piercing around, one of the judges, Lex, the Judge Lex. And Judge Lex is about to kill him and he's like, wait. And then Lex is like, are you telling me to wait? You're telling me to wait? The great Judge Dredd. And then he goes on this little dumb monologue and then the girl comes behind and shoots him and he's like, oh, I meant wait for her to shoot you. And it's kind of it's kind of a stupid line, to be honest. And that's the thing that adds to his character even more. He doesn't fold for anyone. All these judges are corrupt. They all either sit the fence or they come in and they start helping their own gang members so they can get a piece of the pie. Not Judge Dredd. You actually see why these judges have turned. One of the Judge Lex says, the city's a meat grinder. It wears you down. Soon you don't even know what you're fighting for because crimes happen. There's no fixing the city. Crimes will happen no matter what. There's no point. It's an endless cycle. But Judge doesn't give a shit. He is Batman. He's literally Batman. What Batman is to Gotham, he is that to Mega City 1. And he doesn't fold for any of them. He dispenses justice and kills the judges that try to come at him. And the girl. It's awesome. Quite honestly, my favorite death of the movie is Mama's death. She has a dead man switch. So if she dies, her heartbeat goes flatline, a bomb will blow the entire building to bits, right? Now the thing is, the signal from the dead man switch won't reach the top floor if she's all the way down, right? So Judge Dredd takes her and throws her from the top like she's done so many other people and hits her with slow-mo first so that her descent down is just as slow as all the victims of hers, right? It's a great death. Then he shoots her with slow-mo, throws her down and says bye as she falls to her death. It's like, here's a taste of your own medicine, doctor, from Batman Begins when he does that to Scarecrow and he throws her out the window and she falls to her death. This is the most badass fucking anti-hero maybe ever. Riddick is still my favorite, but I have to give this character love because it's not just this character, okay? The movie itself is actually good. One of the problems I have with the Riddick movies is I actually like the Riddick character more than the actual movies he's in. With this, I love the goddamn world of this. I want to see more of Mega City 1 going to shit. All the corruption. There's something about cities that are so dark and corrupt that we just want to see more of them. Karl Urban, please come back. You're not that old, bro. You wear a helmet in these movies anyways. No one needs to see how much older you are now than when you were back then. Who cares? It doesn't make a difference. Please come back as Dredd. And all these critics, they're all shills, by the way. All of these guys are paid activists who are promised an interview with the directors of certain films for their channels, and they'll love and hate movies accordingly, right? I feel like a lot of these didn't give Dredd the love it deserved. I think the outlook on a movie like this would be way different now if this movie came out today. People would be like, oh, finally, a badass movie that isn't politics or any of this bullshit. It's just a real action movie. I feel like a lot of those fans would love this. So Karl Urban, please come back. Please come back. There's so many stories you can build off this world. Not just this character, but this world. You're the man, Karl Urban. This is my favorite interpretation of Dredd. I haven't seen that many interpretations, granted, but I like him more than Sylvester Stallone. I think this is his definitive role, and we need more Dredd, okay? And not to mention, if any of you seen the trailer for this, the song that's used in the trailer, "We can like it be science," ooh, I can't do it. It's amazing. I wish they would have used it in the movie itself. Maybe they use it at the end of the film. I think they do, but they should have used it in the film itself. I would have loved that. Similar to how Something in the Way was used in the Batman. But regardless, that's my thoughts on Dredd, guys. We need more love for this film. Fuck all the critics that hate on it. Dredd's my guy.